Radio in motion. Program loading in 3, 2, 1. Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, here we go.
Radio in motion.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining me on tonight's Radio Motion 8-track throwback. A lot of those 70s sounds that you always heard coming from the stereo when you were a kid, and later on you might have formed your own sort of musical taste, but you can't help that some of those songs that your parents listened to just stick with you for forever. So I just wanted to welcome you to another episode of The Ugly Truth. The truth can be ugly, but it can certainly set you free. Something I've been thinking about recently, and I think, there's so much going on in the world. It always seems like chaos. And look, in some ways, and this is a touchy subject, and it's not about politics, it's not about ideologies. This subject is simply about language. And I think language is something that can unite, and so many different cultures can build on that with unified language. Of course, the minute I say that, and believe me, I'm going to go into this and do a bit of a deep dive so you know where I'm coming from. The minute you say, oh, so you just want everyone to speak English, or you just want to choose the language of the Western culture, as I'm going to talk about, this has nothing to do with the rich culture of so many different diverse nations that have come together, whether it's in America or Australia. And I am going to talk about how, funny enough, a unified language helped build those amazing cities and communities, whereas so many different languages tended to divide. Again, I know, oh my God, how can you say that? You just must be racist. You call someone racist enough, that word just has no meaning. So I could really care less if you say that, because I think when I'm done, I will have convinced you of how important language is in general. And look, what leads me to some of this, I was just noticing one day, I was walking past a construction site in the city, and there are all the workers out there, and as you would in any construction site all over the world, especially in the US and Australia or the UK, there's different languages being spoken. Everyone there is there to work. That's obvious. There to work hard, and this is just a construction job. This isn't something about trying to get together and build a whole city or do complicated surgery, but obviously it's important and it can get dangerous. So I'm walking by and I hear one of the men saying something, and it was a word in a foreign language. He kept repeating it and seemed quite panicked about it. And another person speaking a different language, again, it's neither here nor there, whether it's English or Mandarin or Spanish or Italian. I'm just saying, especially in areas where you need to communicate with each other in more than a visual, because we still live in a world where things have to be built and collaboration has to be done. Essentially, the person kept saying something and the other person misunderstood it and was asking, you mean more? You mean keep going, keep going? And then they would scream out again, what do you mean? Do you want to keep going? And another construction worker, another tradie, came in and said, no, he's saying stop again. And by the way, I do think it was actually, I think it would have been more than likely Mandarin and someone speaking English. So I'm just saying right there, that's just one simple example. It's a very important difference between keep going and stop. Okay, and of course you'll say, oh, well, then you should be smart enough to learn those languages. I'll get into that too. It's not about that. I love language. That's why I'm talking about it. I love to learn different languages. But, even one human, as smart as you are, there's a limit to what you even have time for, unless that's you're going to grow up and be a linguist or an interpreter. Not everyone has the ability to learn, 20 different languages. So just in that situation, by not having a common language, and again, well, maybe there's a visual signal. Okay, well, maybe It's not something where he could see him and he's about to pour cement or drop a giant load of bricks on his head, or the crane operator is about to swing a steel girder into someone and take off their head, and someone is saying stop, and the person interprets that as keep going. This is just one simple example of how a common language can help, and understanding that you need that to communicate and build. So yeah, the guy may have been saying, stop hammering my hand. The nail has gone through my hand. Keep going? Keep hammering? Okay, I'll keep hammering. No, stop hammering. You've hammered through my hand. So again, that is just one rudimentary example. And where I'm going with this is language as a bridge, not as a barrier. Again, I'm advocating for unity through language, and not at the expense of cultural identity. Oh my God, how can that be? Sonny, is that possible? What are you saying? You want to take people's language, you want to appropriate them and assimilate them, you want to strip their entire history of their language and their culture and their diversity and their food and the clothes and everything that makes them, their rich history and tapestry. You want to strip that from them. No. You know where that happened already? America, long ago, and Australia, any Western culture. All the culture stayed, all the food stayed, all the diversity stayed, the melting pot stayed. But in order to communicate, believe it or not, they did use a common language. So again, this is about language as a unifier in diverse society. Diversity is a strength, but it also helps to come together and decide. Like anything, if there's a map and you don't know how to read it, usually on the side of a map, there's a legend, how to read the map. What do these symbols mean? You can't read the map, you can't decipher the map, you can't find the treasure, you can't move forward on your journey and your adventure together with your group or even alone if you don't understand the legend to read the map. And this is all I'm saying. A common language fosters mutual understanding, cooperation, and shared goals. That's a fact. And historically, English has shared language in the U.S., and that did help immigrants to integrate, participate in civic life, and succeed. Again, don't talk to some privileged, yuppie, university college kid how he thinks about America. He'll just complain because he has everything he needs. He's top to bottom dressed in the latest clothes, and he's bitching about America. Talk to an immigrant who came through America legally and has worked their butt off and their family to create something through the generations from now or 300 years ago. That person usually loves the opportunity that America gave to them. And I know it's similar in Australia or the UK. Talk to someone who really wanted to flee their country, to actually flee persecution, and go to a country that allows them to have freedom of choice and freedom of speech to build your own empire. And don't tell me that's not true, because I could pick so many rich people, whether they are celebrities or business or lawyers or entertainment industry, music, whatever it is. And a huge majority of them have come from other countries and made it big in the U.S. Again, if I have to explain that to you, then I can't help you if you don't understand that. But unity, it does not mean uniformity. Bringing your culture, your values, your native language is all part of the American fabric. And again, when I talk about America, I also do mean Australia. I live in Australia, but I do find so many similarities on how the countries were built on such diversity. But there was a commonality in those values, and one of those was the language. I'm sorry, and that's what I believe. So this is sort of the melting pot versus the Babel effect. America's strength lies in being a multicultural society with shared values and tools. Do you understand? The shared tools, and language is a tool. Language is not a religion. It's not an ideology. It's not meant to divide. I love language, and I love all languages. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whether it's, sheshe or gracias or, spasiba, I love languages and all the different dialects. It's awesome. But I can't learn 150 languages. I can be a fan of them. I could try to learn a few, and I encourage everyone to. Of course they should. But the language is a tool, and it's one of the most essentials. So I was watching something on TV. It was the New York mayor was very proud that the schools in New York were boasting 180 languages spoken in the New York City school district. It sounds diverse, but it may also create little segregated bubbles, and that's exactly what it does. Segregated bubbles of communication rather than unity. And again, this isn't about culture and values and learning other languages. I think everyone should be encouraged to do that. But you're like, oh, they'll just get more translators. That's silly. That is a ridiculous, untenable problem, solution to where, well, the solution is a common language. You don't have to lose anything. You just have to choose the new one. And you're like, oh, you just want it to be English. I don't care which one it is. If it happens to be Spanish, or if it happened to be, that's the language that we would choose. If it is French or Italian, or dare I say one day, Mandarin. And I'll point this out right now before I even move on. If I moved to any other country outside of the Western culture, if I moved to China, if I didn't learn Mandarin right quick, I'll be out in the street. I'll be out in the cold, shivering dead. That's a fact. Okay? If I don't learn the language there, I'm out. And do you get mad at them? Are you mad at China for embracing a common language? Again, I could push this further before I even talk about, how it actually can cause divide. China is an example in the way of language. I'm not getting into the politics. I'm not getting into the government. I'm talking about the people. And any country, the people are everything. The common language helps them succeed and excel in ways that Western culture can't even imagine. And that's a fact. If you don't realize, China sometimes looks at us like really the third world, and we're behind. They have maglev bullet trains. Their trains run on time to the second. I'm just saying that is one aspect of how cities are run. And if you say, oh, well, they do it on the backs of the people, and I'm not talking politics, I'm talking in general, when someone wants to get together and succeed, they do it well, and they do it with the common tool of language. Again, multiculturalism is beautiful, but without it becomes harder to work together towards a common goal. I don't think boasting 180 different languages spoken is helpful. I think that's more confusing. I think everyone's running around going, what should I do? Should I just keep speaking my language and you just speak yours, and we'll find the common bond of love? It doesn't work like that, again, when you're on a construction crew, or you're trying to create something, or you're building a building, or you're in the middle of surgery. It doesn't work like that. Language can unite. So this is, again, I said, mentioned the Babel effect. So I'm sure everyone's heard this, the Tower of Babel story. The Tower of Babel, I think some people are looking at the wrong way. It's actually a cautionary tale, a biblical story about humanity was united by one language. There was a time when all of humanity spoke one language. And again, I know there's some more nuances here. I'm just giving the basics. They tried to build a tower to reach the heavens god, Confucius, their language, to stop them. So God, confuses their language, causing misunderstanding and dispersion. So again, I know that seems like, that's a bit cheesy, but the message there is that although they may have been seeming to do maybe a negative thing, trying to reach God by building this tower, and God confused them, and that stopped them from doing that. Well, again, whether it was right or wrong, they were working together. At least they were working together for a common goal. Metaphorically, without a common language, people become divided, progress stalls, and cooperation breaks down. And that's what happened. They couldn't build the tower anymore. And I'm sure God was fine with that. You stay down there. But again, it's not a celebration of diversity, but a warning about fragmentation through communication breakdown. And again, I'm going to touch on, and I talk to plenty of friends and colleagues about this, and I speak to people who this is something that is very connected to them on a very deep level, and it may not be for everyone. And, I'm going to talk about pronouns, and I'm going to talk about it separate from identity. I'm just going to talk about the pronouns themselves, the words, and communication. So, in general, everything in our world connects us. And then further upon that, everything has a name that helps to connect us, to identify it, whether it's something dangerous, whether it's food, whether it's good or bad. That's a tree. That's a rock. This is poisonous. I'm just being honest. That is going to fall on your head. You're going to get hurt. This is fire. It's going to burn. These are just tools so we can figure out our environment. The simplest thing in the world, all the way back to cavemen. And it's a beautiful thing, language, how it has evolved in us. And I have nothing against pronouns. You're going to attack me? If you have any idea, I work in a place, as many of us do, and I, not only in my own life, but at work, of course, I embrace wanting to make sure that everyone is heard and feels safe, and they're able to speak the words that make them feel safe. But I'm just going to touch on this here. Pronouns in general, whether it's she or her or they or them. Again, not that I'm not the pronoun czar, but I think that's, of course, that's fine. It's when you start going a bit beyond, and I'm going to use some more sort of neo-pronouns that are out there, because it's difficult for us to have a commonality when you can't keep up and someone keeps changing the rules. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not ever sure who that someone is, because some of them just seem to come out of the ether. So there are other examples of these neo-pronouns like Z, XE, Z, ZE, Fae, Bun, Kit, Void, and a lot of these come from, fantasy or fantasy role play games, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying this is when it starts to get a bit confusing, because unless I have a list every day in my hand, I'm not sure how to keep up. There's one called Void. I'm going to be honest, I was feeling pretty void today. I was feeling quite detached and not part of anything. So it's not that we all can't understand where these words are coming from. There's one Vamp. Hey, I'm a 90s kid. I'm into Vamp. On Halloween, I'm full Vamp. I'm just saying, I'm not getting into lifestyle, I'm not getting into sexuality, I'm not getting into what people do or adults behind their closed doors, because again, I could get deep into this. I'm just talking about the language itself when words are added, which again, of course language evolves. It always does. But it's hard when some of it comes at rapid fire and things are just being thrown out that we can't keep up with. Again, I think it causes silos and divides rather than connects us. A rock is still a rock in any language. The similarities, you can tell it's rock, tree, sky. These are finite nuances within that, and they keep being built upon. And I'm sorry, you can crucify me for this. I do believe sometimes it comes from a place of those who feel like they don't have control. And language can often be about control. Yeah, there's an element of that there. And I think sometimes these sort of neo-pronouns that keep getting added to the list, I think it's a form of control for someone who feels a lack of it. And that's a bit sad. That's why I feel like we should have another way to come together and help alleviate those fears in whomever feels they need to use a barrage of these. And I'm not talking about 5-year-olds. I'm not talking about children. Children live in a fantasy world, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think they should. It's a beautiful way of discovery of life and discovery of the human journey. I'm just talking about when someone is an adult and you're 60 years old and you've come at me with a lot of new words like bun and kit, and I'm not sure what you mean. And I'm always willing to say, well, I asked the question, what do you mean? You can't get mad at me for asking, because it was just added today on a list that I don't have in my hand. I don't know where the list is. Is this a single point of truth? This is a worldwide list? Is it published daily? Okay, these are legit questions. When the words are being added to language, which already has the possibility of dividing or uniting. I like it better when it unites. So that's all I'm going to say about, like I say, pronouns sometimes on the move too fast. Always supporting others and expressing themselves is good, but when I suppose, identity makers become, linguistically overwhelming or rapidly shifting, the risk is about alienating. And alienating well-meaning people, by the way. Okay, everyone's trying. I think everyone deep in their heart is well-meaning. I don't believe people come out evil or bad. I believe everyone starts off well-meaning. And again, many of us feel like we are walking into a trap or walking on eggshells. Nobody likes that. That's another form of control. Okay, that's an emotional response too that I can have when someone has their emotional response because I didn't immediately know all of the new pronouns. Again, I'm afraid to say the wrong thing despite my good intentions. So, okay, everyone should just chill and understand how language can be such a bonding, amazing experience and for everyone. You know, language should include, not confuse. It should clarify, not divide. Okay, and again, another historical perspective, you know, immigrants in the early 20th century, they brought, of course, their rich culture and traditions, but quickly learned English to thrive and connect. And again, you're like, oh, you just want it to be English, typical American. I don't give a crap if it's Spanish or if it is Mandarin. Choose one, pick one, and then the world should stick with that so we can get past all this divisiveness and war and petty tribalness. I'm sorry. Tribal thinking doesn't help. And sometimes, again, when the mentality is, oh, we're so proud that our school has 200 different languages and tribal little silos. It is not about culture. It's about losing the unity of language so that we can grow together. Again, and the immigrants, their heritage didn't disappear. It adopted, it enriched American life, you know? Italian American, Irish American, Greek American, same in Melbourne. The city's built by Irish and Greek and Italian and so many different diverse cultures stayed. The food, the beauty, the clothing, the people, the rich history, the stories, the legends, all stayed. That's the melting pot. I feel like we've lost that. It annoys me that diversity must mean division. Diversity can mean coming together, but you have to choose some common tools. I'm telling you right now. You have to choose some common tools. Religion, I can't even figure that one out at the moment. I think that one's in the too hard basket. You can be divisive in religion. It would be nice if that one were more common, but amazing. The one that's removed from all of that, from all the specific ideologies or religion, it's language. Language is not a religion. It's a tool. It's a tool. It's like fire. Okay? It's like the cavemen finding fire. The humans found fire. And we moved forward into the world we're in, whether you love it or hate it. For those that hate the modern latte world and all the amazing advancements we have and you want to live in a cave, go live in the cave. Sometimes I get annoyed by that. Someone's like, oh, well, it's all about modern man's advancements, the world we live in, and they go and have a latte. I hate the modern world, and they've got their coat on and they're on their phone. Go live in a cave. I don't want to hear from you. Go live in a cave, start a fire, hunt for your food, skin it, eat it, grow it, whatever you want to do. Grow your vegetable garden, but get out of the city. I don't want to see you. Don't come to the hospital either. I don't want to see you using any medical advancements. I don't want to see you driving in your car. I don't care if it's electric or petrol. Anyway, that's my quick rant about those that hate modern society, but they won't go live in the cave. So again, what did we come up with? We came up with that diversity is a strength, and it built America and Australia. And just look at New York, the awesome diversity in the streets, all the culture, all the food and history and rich tapestry of immigrants building that city. You know how they built it? They built it speaking English. I'm sorry. That's their tool. That was one of their many tools. Whether it's a hammer or a wrench or a steel girder to raise a skyscraper, they all communicated with a common language, or they could have never done any of that. New York would be nothing if they had not at least understood they needed to assimilate into the one language to unite everyone to move forward. And that's it. You know, you can bring your language, but if we don't have a shared one, how do we build anything together? Okay? That's all I'm saying. So, you know, in closing, like I say, language is a powerful tool. It can heal or divide, connect or confuse. And in a time that feels like, you know, we're all speaking different dialects, literally and figuratively. I think it's more important than ever to find some common ground, just to find some common ground. And again, you know, a century ago, you know, the immigrants came here with dreams, and they learned a new language to turn those dreams into reality. And they didn't forget where they came from. They added to where they were going. So, whether we're talking about languages or pronouns, we need clarity, not confusion. Inclusion, not intimidation. I'm sorry, that's a fact. Let's build a culture that welcomes everyone, but also speaks with one voice. And it comes to respect, collaboration, shared values. Like I say, it's not just about English. It just happens to be, and I don't mind saying, I think English is just a wonderful common language. If you want it to be French or Mandarin or whatever else, then you try to steer, the evolution in that direction, and I'll be on board. But pick one, so we can all move forward together. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoy listening to tonight's A-Track Throwbacks. More great music coming up next on Radio in Motion. You're listening to Sunbury Radio 99.3 FM.